This is a monitor, but not just any monitor. It's actually one of the most underrated pieces of gear a filmmaker or creator can have to bring their projects to life. And this specific monitor has one of the most unique features that I think is truly going to change how we use them moving forward. Now, let's be honest, the minute I said that, there's some of you that probably thought of other pieces of gear that are more important. Probably one of three things: lighting, lensing, or camera. Now, all of those are perfectly rated. In fact, one of them might be slightly overrated these days, but if you can't trust what you're seeing while you're recording, then you might make decisions that make your image look worse, and you wouldn't be able to tell until it's too late. And that's just one of the reasons why I think a monitor is underrated. Then there's the features built in, and let's just say the Axi Cineview M7 and M7 Pro are stacked with powerful features, starting from the minute you unbox it and see the Kalman calibration certificate, all the way to the design choices to make sure that this monitor is reliable and robust. And then there's a ton of other features once you power it on. Now, I'm going to be taking this monitor on set for a spec commercial I'm shooting and practically break down all those features and how they can help. And at the end of this video, I will also reveal the biggest reason why I think this monitor is the best bang for your buck. So this is our location. It's this really cool warehouse that's still under construction, and this is the space that we're going to be transforming into the final setup that you saw in the beginning. Right, so I want to be completely transparent and not hide anything. Axsoon did send me this monitor in exchange for a video, but I want to make something incredibly clear. I was going to buy this monitor anyway. I got to experience it in IBC and I was like, wow, I need to have it. So I reached out to them in hopes that I could make something happen. So I'm really grateful that they did send me this monitor. With that being said, let's look at what this monitor actually is. It's a 7-inch monitor, it's fully touchscreen, and each model is individually Kalman calibrated to Delta E2. And if you don't know what that means, basically if you were to look at an object and then look at that exact same object in the monitor, you wouldn't be able to tell the difference. It's that good. In terms of power options for this monitor, you've got a few. You've got Sony NPF, you've got 5 volt, you've also got USB-C PD fast charge in. Now this monitor has both SDI and HDMI in and out. Now monitors like this tend to get hot quick, which means that they also tend to overheat. But this one solves it by having fans, meaning you don't have to worry about it overheating. Now in terms of the actual visual output of this monitor, we're looking at 7-inch monitor that it has 1000 nits, but it also has this anti-reflective coating. Outside of that, it is a full 100% Rec 709 monitor. It has a 176 viewing angle, which basically means you could almost be directly parallel to it and see the image perfectly without any sort of distortion to the image, which is phenomenal. Right, so we've just finished setting up our key light and I've come to the monitor to look at what's happening. And as we're building up the rig, I'm going to be constantly coming back to this monitor, and it's great to know that I can trust this monitor because it's an incredibly color accurate monitor. But also I'm going to start using monitoring tools because yes, I can trust my eye, but I want to see what the actual data levels are being recorded at. And the first tool that I'm going to be using is a waveform. Now, a waveform is basically like a histogram on steroids. Like a histogram, it allows you to see the exposure, but the reason why it's on steroids is because left and right is the actual image in your camera. So the left side is the left side of your frame, the right side is the right side of your frame. And this allows you to really understand what's happening with exposure across the frame, giving you way more precision. Especially when we're trying to get the lights rigged up, this is incredibly useful. Before we start dialing all of this in, I want to do a final check, and I'm going to be using a vector scope for that. And what I'm using the vector scope for is just to see if there's any unwanted color that might mess up my look and feel that I'm going for. So looking at my image right now, I can see that we're basically there. There's a little bit of yellow coming in from these pillars, but that's okay. I knew that was part of what would happen in the location, but everything else is pretty much close to the center. Before we start looking at how a monitor can help you on set dial in your look, I just want to talk about something quite obvious, which is this monitor having those tools isn't unique. But one thing that really was enjoyable about using these tools with this monitor, and what I'm going to say is applicable across the device, is the fact that I could use all of these things simultaneously. But the best part is that they were all customizable. I wasn't locked into the fact that, oh, because I'm using them simultaneously, they're going to occupy different parts of the frame. No, they were incredibly customizable. I could shrink them, I could drag them around. If I wanted to have them in the center of the image, I could very well do that, which is great because it means that the tool is highly customizable to my workflow instead of me having to customize my workflow for the tool. And that is always a plus. Now it's time to start dialing in. And this is one of the tools that I think every monitor should have. It's false color. Now, what I like about the way that Accsoon has done it is that they put a little bar on the left side of the frame that tells you the values and what each color represents, meaning you're not doing some guesswork on what the false color is, because sometimes false colors are different. I can see right now that our key light and the practical are running a little bit hot, so we're going to be dialing them in, just so that they're not in the yellow, but they're a little bit in the pinkish green area. I've been recently testing loading in preview LUTs onto my monitor so that when I go onto set, I can get a good feeling of what 75 to 80% of my image is going to look like. Now, it's not accurate because it's a LUT and there's still so much we can dial in, but having that has been game-changing. Another benefit of being able to load in preview LUTs is, let's say you're showing playback and your camera can't do view assist like this one. Instead of showing boring old log, I can have the convert on my monitor and show people what a good looking image is going to look like instead of showing them log. Just by the way, not every single monitor can do custom LUTs. So if you're looking at getting that feature, make sure that that monitor can do that if you're not looking at this one. But I definitely could say that both the M7 Pro and the M7 can do that. And it's because they have an SD card slot and a USB-C slot that allows you to plug in a hard drive or a solid state drive, and it will allow you to load in those custom LUTs and other custom assets, which we're going to be speaking about later and how those are incredibly useful. So as I'm moving between shots, one of the things that I want to be avoiding is fidgeting with my menu systems, because that's going to just take time. So I've set up my buttons to have the most common used tools that I can quickly access here on the top, making me move faster and get ready for the next shot quicker. So nice. If you're planning on buying a monitor and this tool isn't there, don't get it. It's not worth it. And that is a guide. While lighting and lensing are part of creating beautiful images, the other part is composition. So right now I've used the guides to help me compose my image. And what I've done is I've taken this piece of metal, it's my foreground element, and it's also on the right side of the frame. And then I've put my character on the left side of the frame inside those intersecting lines to help guide the audience's attention, but also creating more balanced frames. So right now I'm happy with this frame. Let's get rolling. Right, so we're changing our composition right now, mostly to try and get these bars in the frame. We realized that the previous composition worked really well for horizontal, but didn't work well for the other social media platforms that we need to post on. Now, to fix that, this monitor does have blanking. Now, what that is it basically is a set of guidelines that allows you to see what the frame would be like in 9:16, 1:1. There is one limitation with the blanking feature on this monitor, and that is that you can only load one blanking method at a time. But they also have a different feature that fixes that problem, and that is the ability to load in overlays. And that has two benefits. One, you're going to be able to do match cuts really well, because you can take a screenshot, load that in as an overlay, and make sure you get the exact same framing across these different scenarios that you're trying to match cut. And the second benefit is being able to load in custom monitor overlays, allowing me to frame my shot so that it does well across all of these platforms, and that can make or break an edit read. With that being said, we've changed our framing. It's going to work well enough across all of these different platforms, with horizontal being better than the rest, but that's just a personal opinion, and we're ready to go. Right, so the next shot that we're getting ready to set up for is a slow motion shot where we're going to be focusing on the watch as the actor is running. Now, in these situations where we're dialing in the next shot, sometimes you'd have a stand-in, a person who's there to replace the actor or the actress while you tweak your lights in between the different shots. But sometimes on lower budget stuff, you would actually have a member of the crew or the talent would actually just stay there in between different takes. And then there's the situation we're in where our actor has gone to the bathroom and the other crew member is recording behind the scenes right now, which would mean that we would be stuck waiting and nothing would be progressing. But thanks to those antennas there, which are not just for aesthetic purposes, but are actually the main difference between the M7 Pro and the M7, with the M7 Pro being able to not only receive signal from wireless transmissions, but can also send wireless transmission. Meaning two things. One, if you're rigging out your camera, you no longer have to rig it to have a wireless transmission system and a monitor. With the M7 Pro, you're able to do both with one piece of gear. And number two, if you're using another M7 Pro as a director's monitor, or if you have a video village set up using Axsoon wireless transmission systems, or even if you have a phone that can download the Accsoon C app, you're now able to use all of that to wirelessly view what is being recorded in camera. Meaning in this situation, I'm able to use my monitor to allow me to be a stand-in and dial in my shot while I wait for my actor to return from the bathroom. So now I'm going to use my phone as a director's monitor and dial in my shot. Speaking of director's monitor, the M7 and M7 Pro also have really powerful audio tools, from audio metering to being able to connect a microphone and even headphones via a jack input, but also via Bluetooth for the people who don't have wired headphones. Meaning you don't have to bring so many pieces of gear to monitor all these things individually. You have one tool that does it all, simplifying the amount of gear you're bringing on set and simplifying your workflows. So this whole shoot, we've been shooting in autofocus. The reason why is I don't have a focus puller, and two, pulling focus on action shots is really difficult. And kind of annoying. So I let the camera deal with that annoyance while I just get to focus on creating pretty image. But for this next shot, I can't trust autofocus because I don't want any focus hunting because the subject's out of frame. I don't want any focus breathing. I want to set the focus and know that I'm going to get the shot. So in this case, having a monitor is already a big plus because unlike these small monitors where it being slightly out of focus will still look sharp until you blow it up and then you're like, ah, there goes my favorite shot because it was just slightly out of focus. Having a monitor which is bigger is going to allow you to see focus a lot clearer. Second thing is this monitor has peaking. And if your monitor has peaking, it's really useful for you because you can basically tell what is in focus because you'll start to see a red line or a green line. And that's going to be the areas that are in focus. So we're going to turn on peaking right now. And I personally have it about 50%. You can choose the strength of your peaking, but wait, there's more. This monitor also allows me to zoom in. Now, most cameras will have the ability to magnify to see if things are sharp, but you have to press the button, you have to do the wiggle waggle. It's just a lot more effort to do it via camera versus being able to zoom and drag around with my finger to see if things are sharp. For this shot, what we're gonna do is have the focus set on the handlebar, and then his hand is going to grab it, and we're gonna be able to see the watch and all the data metrics that the watch has been able to gather while he was running on the treadmill. Now, this monitor has a bunch more features that I couldn't cover in this video, so here's a list with all of them, just in case you're interested. With that being said, this monitor is absolutely insane. It offers quality at the level of Small HD and Atmos, top-of-the-line monitor manufacturers, but with one key difference. Those monitors will cost you about $1,200 plus. This, for the M7 Pro, is $899 for something that is on par, but actually, with this one unique feature, is absolutely crushing them. And that is because this monitor is what I would consider truly to be a smart monitor. And that is because it's running Android OS. Now, if that's not setting off alarm bells, let me explain why it should. This monitor goes from being just a monitor that goes on your camera or on Video Village or around a director's neck. No, it becomes a tool that, as I've been saying throughout this whole video, you can customize to your workflow. If you are a gaffer, you can load in your apps that control lights and have something to see what's happening on camera. If you're a director, you can have a notepad app and watch the image and add notes to that and keep it secure and back it up to a little SD card and then transfer to your laptop if you need to. The possibilities are endless, and it's why I think this is one of the most underrated pieces of equipment that's been released recently. And now I hope you can see why I really wanted to get my hands on this monitor. With that being said, I hope you enjoyed this video. If you did, don't forget to like, share, subscribe, you know, all that funky funny stuff, and I'll see you on the next one. Goodbye.